ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 7th IESF World Championship, being broadcast to you live from the Nexon Arena here in Seoul, South Korea. Hello, my name is Reed Rapid Melton. Joining me once again is Justin Wong. How's it going?
I'm doing fine. I've been having very good experience with these matches. It's been fun seeing these teams play that I've never seen before. So we just saw a match versus Philippines and Russia, and that was very exciting.
Yeah, Justin Song, not Justin Wong. You're not quite as good at fighting games, but you're pretty good at casting, so I do want to thank you for joining me. And super thanks to everyone else out there for joining us tonight for some awesome IESF action. If you've been missing out on the action, make sure to stick around, but because we've got lots more action coming your way. We just saw the Russian team Trinity World take a pretty secure win there in our last game over the Filipino representatives. And coming up next, we're going to see Mongolia face off against Chinese Taipei, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's the game that we're going on next. From Chinese Taipei, they are a team made up of mostly challengers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Chinese Taipei, these guys are no joke. They're super good, but they're actually coming into this game off of a loss. And you can see their matchups right there. We've got Beat versus Rai in the top lane, Radis versus Shock Blast, Wuji versus Vox, and Rabi versus. I'll let you handle that one, Justin. Osco versus Zero there to round out the lineup. And the Chinese Taipei players actually went through some name changes right before this game, so still trying to get used to some new names there from them. But
it was really hard beforehand because they're all written in Chinese and we couldn't know how to pronounce them, but now it's been a lot easier, I feel like.
We've got things standardized, so it's going to be a little bit better to work through that. But still going to have some issues with Ajulu? I'll just go with that. I'm not sure if you're supposed to pronounce the 3. I used to have a 1 in Rapid, so everybody would say like R1, and it just didn't work out. But, I'm excited to get this game underway, specifically because for Mongolia, they're a region that you don't traditionally associate with major regions of the world, like North America, Europe, but they're actually really starting to come into a lot of esports, a lot of investment in esports in that country. So it's going to be exciting for me to see how they work out here. Now, they do play on the Chinese servers, at least from what I've been told, and so it's nice to see them competing at least with a region that is very, very world-renowned for their esports participation. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out, especially when in comparison to Chinese Taipei, a region that's had a lot of different esports involvement. Now, speaking of the different regions, let's go ahead and talk about the countries and their current standings. There you can see in Group A, we've seen wins from Mongolia and Serbia, and a loss from Chinese Taipei, so they'll be trying to redeem themselves here versus Mongolia. Also a loss for Israel there. Group B, you can see Dead Pixels from Switzerland picking up their first win. We've also got South Africa represented there with a loss, as they did pick up that loss. We saw Laser Cats already pick up their win versus Rise of Gamers, who obviously lost that one. And in Group C, Imperium has yet to play. Same thing for the rest of Group C there as well. Group D, though, we do have the first results from there as Trinity World, you just witnessed, pick up that win over the Philippines.
And in a very dominating fashion.
Yeah, to be fair, most of the wins that we have seen have been very, very strong wins from one team or another. And we could definitely attribute that to the teams themselves, but at least in these preseason patches, most of the games have actually been ending pretty quickly. One lane just gets kind of out of control, and then you just push that group up button, which doesn't seem to exist in any of my solo queue games, but works out pretty well here in the tournament. Group up, push down a lane, and then it kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah, just how fast the game's changing and how fast it is due to the changes itself is changing, how teams organize their lane swaps and how jungling paths and all that. So it's very exciting to see how it affects other regions other than the ones that we've been seeing before. So.
Also, a lot of great sportsmanship between both of the teams that we saw previously, and really all of the teams. They'll come out, shake each other's hands, and even though it's off screen, just want to give a quick shout out to a lot of the teams, the regions, for being so sportsmanlike. I mean, this is IESF, International Esports Federation. It's really nice to see all of these different nations come together, compete, for the glory of esports, and of course for the glory of their individual countries. So a lot on the line, a lot of national pride. pride, as well as just player pride here in these individual teams, but certainly a larger scale than a lot of other tournaments.
Yeah, and not just playing too, like, as you have mentioned before, Mongolia is not really an esports scene that people are familiar with, but getting this kind of exposure for IESF, it might be a very good thing for the country itself and their gaming infrastructure to develop. So.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen a lot of IESFs dominated by Korea. In fact, Korea has won the last 3 International Esports Federation World Championships. I think the one before that was won by Sweden. So a lot to watch out here for, specifically from Korea, who we haven't had a chance to see play yet today, but we'll get a chance to see them most likely a little bit later on. We're only in Game 3 of the 6 matches that are being broadcast here in the preliminary matches. We should be ready to get into champion picks and bans here in just a second. Here we go. We've got a representative from Chinese Taipei on the right-hand side of your screen, or from Mongolia on the right-hand side of your screen. Chinese Taipei on the left there in the blue. Starting off with a Tom Kench ban. A little bit of deja vu. We've seen that quite a few games.
A very must ban for this tournament in general, I feel like. I want to see a Lulu ban come in just because how strong that has been, and I want to see some teams recognize that. But okay, and here it is, right here.
Hey, your wish, your command there, the Lulu ban. A lot of support focused early on in the bans, but then it gets a little bit shaky from there. So in our first preliminary match of the day, we saw a lot of top laners banned out there. But here in game number 2, we actually saw much more diversity with a lot of focus on maybe junglers, with a ban on Kindred. We've also seen bans on things like Dr. Mundo, as he's been very strong this patch as well.
Yes, Rek'Sai ban coming in here. This decreases the champion pool of a lot of the junglers, I feel like. Now but then Kindred's still up, Elite's still up, so you don't know how they're gonna go ahead with this. For the second ban, I feel like Mundo needs to come in here, or since they are on the red side team, so yep.
This is 5.23, the patch number. So we've actually got a little bit of a few changes coming in. One of the bigger changes has been to Zed, as you predict yet another ban to come out. There's the Dr. Mundo there. But we've seen a lot of assassins, a lot of just like, straight up kill the other guy champions. Really, really strong this patch. But what do you think we're going to be seeing prioritized just in general over this tournament? What champions do you feel like are super strong on this patch, aside from every single one of the ones that we see banned?
I feel like a lot of AD carries are very strong in this team for actually to take it on the first round of their picks and bans. For example, Misfortune, Caitlyn, those kind of AD carries can snowball really hard, and once they get their 3-core item, it's really strong. And we see a Soraka ban come in, and then we're first picking Elise right here because it's the first pick jungler that they can take at this moment. So
now you were talking about AD carries being banned, but it seems like just banning out the supports that support those AD carries, maybe making them a little bit more vulnerable there.
Well,
so
AD carry themselves are not really ban-worthy just because there are a lot of champions that can do a lot of stuff, but in general, in this patch, AD carries are very strong in this meta.
Well, speaking of champions who are really strong, we saw Elise do some work in our last game. Incredibly well played there. And now in our third preliminary match of the day, Chinese Taipei really respecting that and going ahead and locking that in as their first pick. Now, while we saw Trinity World from Russia very, very fast on their second round bans, this is actually a little bit more thought through here from Mongolia.
Lee Sin come in here because probably the only jungler there's left. They don't want to show their laners at the moment, so they're going in with Rom support. Or Grag is also available.
Okay. Now the switch to Gragas over Lee Sin, what do you think they were prioritizing there that they got from Gragas?
Lee Sin, at least both very early game oriented junglers, try to get a lot of picks and a lot of ganks early in the game, try to snowball that lead into laner's lead. But with the Gragas, there's a high utility in terms of poke, for example, combined with Brahm's poke also, and disengage in general is also very good with Gragas also.
All right, so definitely looking for that big chaotic team fight ultimates, but another one that's really effective in team fights is going to be Alistar, able to really get in there, tank up a lot of damage, and come in there with a lot of CC too. The Alistar combined with a Lucian hasn't been a combo that I've seen a whole lot there. What is the synergy that the Chinese Taipei are looking for there?
Chinese Taipei, I feel like For Alistar, just in general, with the least game coming in bot, would have a lot of synergy in terms of CC chaining. Alistar's not really a good laner per se, but then when he can all in, he can flash pulverize, headbutt back, so a lot of potential coming in from there. Victor's just a good mid laner to pick at this moment right now, showing a blind. Tristana also a very good AD carry against Lucian, and could potentially turn into a hyper carry as the game goes on. So again, then they're hovering over Caitlyn, as I've mentioned before, very strong AD carry in this meta.
All right, well, hovering over different AD carries, there are a lot of diversity, like we were mentioning, but looks like Vayne, Tristana, what's it gonna be? It is Tristana. Finally, they're locked in along with Braum in the bottom lane there for Team Mongolia.
Yeah, so this team currently has a lot of lane clear, plus a poke and a disengage, and Tristana can safely deal damage from behind, so I think they were what they're looking for with this comp. A Mumu Jax.
Okay, so Jax, especially with Gwynsu's Rage Blade being as strong as it is as an item, very, very strong in the top lane right now, but definitely does have early game counters, specifically because Jax does like to start with the Corrupting Potion, so without any stats to speak of from that potion other than just sustain, can be super weak early on, so against something that puts on early pressure, might see some vulnerabilities there, but the Amumu jungle seems a little bit questionable.
I mean,
especially
since we already have Elise, Amumu's probably not coming in.
So I'm guessing that Amumu's not going to go through. It's being swapped over to a Brand now. Brand also a champion that we've been seeing a little bit more of in the mid lane, whereas a lot of mid lane AP mages have seen a little bit of weakening thanks to their item changes. Brand is actually one that's been really, really strong recently.
Yes, both Jax and Brand has been took a lot of advantages from these preseason patches. Brand, I've seen it used a lot as a support instead of mid laner, but I guess they're going in here with a mid lane Brand, and it might be a pocket pick.
That's where they bring back the Season 1 mid lane Alistar. I don't know if you were around for that, but let's just say something I am very happy does not exist anymore. We're almost through with champion picks and bans. We got one more pick for Team Mongolia. What's it going to be? It's going to be their top lane pick, so they know that they're running it into Jax. Jax, not a champion without his counters, so out of all the champions left open, looks like they might just be going back for that Aurelia that we saw in game number 2.
It's a classic matchup, Jax versus Aurelia, Season 2. I don't know if you guys all remember, but there's been a lot of talks about who wins this matchup. Comes out, it's been generally favorable to Jax's side just because of all the dodges that he can do with Z, but a lot of people say this is half and half, 50-50.
All right, we'll see if they change up their summoner spells between Teleport and Ignite. Seen a lot of conversation between that, but due to the split push potential that both of those champions have, should still see Teleport being run by both of them, and well, with all the champions in their respective roles and probably not going to see too many changes, it's actually going to look like our final lineups for Mongolia versus Chinese Taipei here in our third preliminary match of the day.
I feel like this game depends highly on how the top lane matchup goes. If Jax wins or if Aurelia wins, and I feel like that's where the junglers will be probably putting a lot of pressure on, is that top lane, because it depends who wins that lane, determines who wins that entire lane control and the wave management and how to split push, and both champions are split pushing champions in general. So
all right, well, that's going to do it for our champion picks and bans. We're about to get into game number 3 here in the 7th IESF World Championship. Mongolia taking on Chinese Taipei. Players loading into the game. You can see them there on your screen. Cannot wait to get this game underway.
Me too. I'm very excited. To see standard comps, maybe other than Brand, coming in for both of these teams. It's going to be decided between who can get that early game pressure on.
And here we go, out onto the rift for Mongolia versus Chinese Taipei. We'll see those champions come in there in a second. Crystal's spinning up, and here we go. So like you said, standard compositions for both sides, with the possible exception there of that Brand. And with both champions, both teams running out onto the rift, we haven't seen any lane swaps come through. Do you think that's something that either team would really benefit from in starting this game off?
I mean, it depends how the top laners feel about their own matchup. I feel like Lucian, Alistar, Tristana, Braum, I don't think it's like a matchup that requires a lane swap. but I feel like if one of the top laners feel like they're weaker against the other lane, the lane swap might come in definitely. We seeing movements of deep warding, especially by the red team into the blue side jungle here.
Yeah, Zero's off by himself. He's doing his own thing.
And then we just got a lane swap check warden right there by the Braum. So maybe that's what's trying to initiate it.
Right, by lane swap check ward, by putting that ward in between the top two turrets, if any champion like either recalls or just decides to walk straight up that lane, you're going to see it coming and know exactly what the lanes are. But like you were talking about earlier, maybe you know, no potential for a lane swap, but it actually does look like we're about to see one with Tristana positioned up there by the Raptor camp, now walking up towards Krugs to do those along with Osco.
Yep. And then bot lane's taking those double golems, and jungler double starting at camp.
Get a little bit of hyper speed there as we start things off there. We've got Brand versus Victor in the mid lane. I've seen Victor in the mid before, but it's been a while since Brand has made his competitive debut. He's coming in here for Chinese Taipei, and it's going to be exciting to see whether or not that really impacts not only the 1v1s, but especially when we start grouping up for team fights. Pyroclasm can be ridiculous.
Both champions has great lane clear too in general once it comes to that point of the game, but we see the bot lane coming from blue team side, they actually leash Elise jungle, but then the bot lane and the top lane right now from the red side, they took actually double golems, so I don't know how this is going to affect the game as overall as we go on in the early game, but
well, 2v1 lane up in the top versus Jaxus is really going to shut down that early scaling if you want to try for the early 1v1s off that Corrupting Potion. Once again, Corrupting Potion does give you the sustain to stay in lane, but you're not really going to be fighting a whole lot with it. So, all things considered, a pretty good item to have there in the 1v2, because you're not really going to be looking to fight there anyway.
Yeah, so when it comes to lane swaps, a team can decide between two things. Either for ADC to freeze lane, or they try to push as fast as they can and try to take that first tier turret as fast as they could, or go for the 4-man dive that might be happening in this top lane right now.
Yeah, it does look like we're setting up for that. Now, it should be noted that Jax has seen this coming, did drop a ward up there. We're actually seeing a lot of action up there, but I'm not sure exactly what's about to happen. They're chasing it back towards the turret, and we don't know what's going on, but he does escape. Okay, well, at least one kill there on my vocal cords, but congratulations there. That's going to be able to escape alive for now. Might see a return to the top lane, but Jax able to get out alive, thwarting that 4v0, but it should still be a turret kill here for Team Mongolia.
Yeah, and then we see from Mongolia, trying to counter that in the bot lane, or, I'm sorry, Chinese Taipei try to counter that by fast pushing that bottom tier turret, but I feel like the top one's going to go first.
Waiting for the turret to fall, and no! Taking the trip back to base the hard way. Early game death timers have actually been a little bit raised here in the most recent patch, so it's something that used to be actually a little bit less punishing. You get like a 4 or 5 second death timer, come back to lane, nobody really cares, but I'm not sure about taking a trip back to base that way.
I don't know if he backed and TP tower to the tower in the bot lane. He might have saved it.
Mid lane, a little bit of struggles there for Wuji. He's going to be in a little bit of a rough spot. There's the flash in, the flash out there. Turns around for the point stun. But with Zero coming in for some reinforcements, he's going to be dropping a heal, and Wuji will be able to make it out of that gank successfully. Flash traded for flash, but still Vox coming out on top.
Yeah, that's all mid laners' nightmare. Gragas level 3 flash E-ing. There's no way of escaping that other than flashing, so. And great backup by Zero in general to turn that not into a kill, so.
Yeah, a lot of support players are just like, well, I'm trying to win my lane, trying to help out my AD carry, trying to make that work, but sometimes it's not even about helping your duo lane. You got to roam towards the other lanes and make sure that you are where you need to be. Great positioning there in the mid lane to help out a little bit there. Wuji is able to keep himself in that lane, but the biggest thing has been CS. You just look at all the lanes pretty even, and then you look mid, and it's been like 10-15 CS advantage for Wuji there, so even though the pressure's being put on, he's still able to do a great amount of work there. Now, there's cleanse being run by Vox in the mid lane. Might be something to talk about, but Zero is taking a beating there as he tries to save this wave for his AD carry.
Yeah, with Elise being the jungler, Cleanse might be a good choice, but there's also a high damage threat with it if you run Ignite on her.
Oh, there's Chain CC, but Insta Cleanse perfectly used there. And exactly like you were talking, maybe not for the Elise stun, but a Brand stun can be just as deadly, trying to Chain CC that up.
No, not, but he booged both of his summoners just now, so Elise might be coming back to the mid lane gank again. We will see, you might see later. Irelia on the top lane is freezing the lane very hard.
Versus support. Radish should be in a good spot here to try to 1v1 this. Shock Blast trying to escape. There's the repel. There's going to be a chilling spine. Blast auto attack. No, that's a neurotoxin for first blood. Going to rain. Or Radis there blended into an N. So nice to see Radis picking up first blood. He's going to walk up the top lane and kill off the pink ward, so nothing too devastating there, but might be able to still be going for it. Gonna go for the gank there. Immediate just crushing down beat. One more auto attack from that turret would have killed him off there, but he's able to escape just in the nick of time. That's a 3-0 start to this game for Team Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, we saw Rai try to freeze this top lane as much as is possible, trying to pull the wave towards him, but the wave was too big and he got chunked too hard, and now it was successful to a dive, and they pulled it off really well.
Now, Irelia is able to teleport back into the top lane, so as great as getting that kill was, he's not going to miss out on much of that CS. He'll be able to, clear out that wave. He's going to be not necessarily on time for his Trinity Force because he did start out in a 2v1 situation, but able to get that experience, that CS, that lane presence for free. It's going to be a good way to get back into the game after getting doped.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Gragas die there. Gragas is one of those champions that can't get counter jungled very easily, but also Elise is a very strong champion, especially when she hits that level 4 power spike. So
now with a Sheen by 2 looking to get in there for AP jungle itemization instead of the tanky Cinder Hulk build that we see sometimes. AP at least is something that's been doing very well this tournament so far, at least in the games that we've seen. So should be continuing to see that trend. Now it might look like Shock Blast has completed the ultimate jungler transgression and bought a Poacher's Knife. However, that's not the item anymore. This is the combination of a Sightstone with your jungle item, so it's getting extra item efficient or item slot efficiency and allowing you to ward more. Not the Poacher's Knife, which if you've ever bought that item, we've all made a few regrettable mistakes.
Yeah, especially after the ward patches, it's been very important for the entire team to focus on vision control. So very good item to buy. Doesn't have to waste money on Sightstone.
Keeping an eye on the mid lane as junglers keep their eyes on it as well. Some extra help there from Zero to clear out the top lane, but gotta keep an eye here. Vox continuing to walk in up onto Wuji, but to Vox's credit, he's actually been doing a much better job at trying to avoid getting hit by all those brand spells. Honestly, walking side to side, huge counter to brand. At least it's some elos. As long as you're missing your skill shots, you're not dealing any damage as brand. At least for the majority of his spells. So
yeah, so since he still doesn't have both of his summoners, he's playing the lane very slowly, very safely, very passively, but is down in around 30 CS, so that might be a problem later on.
Right, we're talking about the CS advantages, not just mid lane, bottom lane as well. Still a big advantage there, but Dragon being started up here. We've got Osco, Shock Blast looking to take that one down, but trading it for top lane turret. How even do you think that is, especially now that things have changed just a little bit this preseason patch?
I mean, it's been that the first Dragon is not as important as all the other Dragons as it stacks, but the fact that the turrets go down, especially with this patch going down really fast.
Oh, going in for the dive. There's the aggro onto Zero, so he knows he's taking up the turret. Drops aggro exactly at the right time. And looking to take down that second tier turret with Shock Blast making a move onto bottom lane, but great awareness there by Beat to back up the turret, not missing a beat there. Is able to stay alive, avoid the gank, and now top lane second tier turret's gonna go down there. A big, powerful start here for Chinese Taipei. Keep in mind, they're coming into this game off of a loss, so it's been really interesting. Oh, knock against the wall, not knocked back into Tristana there. A little bit misplaced on the explosive cast, and Beat survives again.
Yeah, to talk about that top lane dive, I think it was a fault of Rise. He knew that all three of them were in there. He knew he had no vision in his own jungle. Should have been the right move to back out completely until wait for his support to show up, but got dived and they got a kill.
Yeah, and Rift Herald now going over to Chinese Taipei. They'll be able to pick that one up, taking it down eventually. Who are they going to get it to? It looks like they're trying to get it on to Ravi, and they will. So that's going to allow him extra split pushing power, and probably not for split pushing. Probably want to use that to group up, as now we've seen bottom lane. It's pretty over. Now starting to snowball that advantage into other lanes.
Jackson trying to stay in this bottom lane, trying to protect his turret.
And he's pretty well aware that, at least there's probably one other champion. Turns out it's Osco there to support Tristana down there. It looks to push in. And this should be a pretty free turret for Team Mongolia. Not a lot to stop that. I mean, Zero's going to show up there, but Tristana's so good at killing off turrets. But actually, no, just going to be able to defend it with Radis coming up there from behind. So impressively defended. The turret will survive there, about 300-400 HP. Now the pressure going mid lane. We've got these Rift Herald buffed minions pushing forward very, very strong, especially so early in the game. Like, we're pre-12 minutes, and we've already got a lot of pressure being put down mid.
Yeah, and Irelia is still freezing that top lane, so it's not going to be in any fights anytime soon. See here, Zero coming in.
Okay, Zero, what's going on here? Trying to get that headbutt off to stop the rocket jump, but then Radis right there on time. Flash backwards. There's the buster shot. Will Tristana be able to get away? Survey says no. Brand there, going to drop the ult there. Flashing forward, counter flash there. Box stays alive. He's actually probably going to be able to clear this wave once that death ray comes back up there. Shock blast just there for moral support. Make sure that he stays alive. Great double flashes there. Beautiful reflexes, and in the end, no death. Turret stays alive there as well, but the push continues here for Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, 4K goal differential right now at 1242. Game's been looking hard. They're going to take this first tier mid turret, and that'll be all the first tier turrets gone for Team Mongolia, so...
Mongolia not showing too many signs of life, specifically that mid lane and AD carry matchup, ones that just been completely won by Chinese Taipei. And now that we're out of lane phase, it's going to be interesting to see how Mongolia reacts to this. So they decided to put Tristana down in the bottom lane, just kind of let her sit down there, soak up some extra gold experience, because she really needs that Infinity Edge. When you're behind an edge versus Lucian here, it used to make a big difference, but now for Infinity Edge, it's actually, I've seen a lot of AD carries that don't like to rush it anymore, because when you combine all three of the items together, you're really only paying for that, the extra critical chance damage amplification. You don't get quite as many stats as you used to.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of creative builds just because of that coming in from a lot of AD carries in other regions, but I feel like still the go-to item would be IE just because of the BF and the pickaxe and all the synergy off of power spikes off of that. So
now, keeping an eye on the bottom lane. Ward will scout Radis out as he's looking to hang out down there. He's just going to go for the Wolf Camp steal. Does get the smite, so he's at least going to get that spirit, but the Wolf actually stays alive. Radis able to use that repel to get out there, but there's the Alistar combo onto Osco. So much damage down. There's going to be the brand damage as well. Box able to go down again. A double kill coming in there for Lucian on the board finally, but Wuji on a killing spree with his third kill of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was great trying to get a pick on overextended Elise in general, but just not enough damage, and great teleport coming in from Deep, so take his tier 2 turret in the bot lane too. Now only thing that's left is mid lane turret, but I think we're going to trade turrets here right now with Irelia taking the top tower.
Yeah, Rai is not really contributing to these team fights necessarily. Had a really rough lane phase too. Started out in a 2v1, and then was forced to transition from that all the way into well, really not a whole lot else. Just split pushing at his turrets taken down early on after the rotation up there to decide to continue the split push and just knocked down 2 turrets in a row. So froze the lane, and now finally is able to counter push that into the second tier turret in the top lane. So interesting to see the way that Mongolia reacted to that by saying, okay, well, top lane, a little bit of a rough spot. Let's just go ahead, freeze it out, make sure that you can get the items that you need to, and actually only like half an item and a recipe away from completing that Trinity Forest, which might be what Mongolia need to be able to put some extra strength up there in the top lane that they haven't had all game long.
Yeah, but then the fact is Jax got his Trinity Force first, so
yeah, I was trying to not look at that incredibly strong Jax right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. Currently, it looks like just starting to group up and put some pressure down there on the Dragon. We'll be going over once again to well, I say once again, it's their first Dragon of the game. Chinese Taipei. I think they're pretty much done with the lane phase. Time to group up and look into the game.
Yeah, it depends on. I don't think they can defend the siege in general. They have a lot of potential to dive this also. I think it's better if they just back off, but we'll see how it goes.
Now Chinese Taipei continuing this push. Not enough wave clear to clear these minions in time, so a little bit of damage being put out there. You can see spiders going forward for damage. Brand damage still ticking down there as I think Tristana got hit by a little bit and that chunked down half HP. So gotta keep it careful as yet another wave cleared, another wave coming in, and it looks like Chinese Taipei are sticking around for this, willing to commit to this mid lane push.
Was it Jax's split pushing bot, so there's no reason for him to go there. They can just siege this, and if they engage like this right here.
And here comes Shock Blast going in, takes a lot of damage. The culling coming out to the Wu Ji on a rampage. Be pushed away from that fight, but he's going to jump in there, grab himself another kill. There's Riot, where actually his first kill. A nice gravity field there is going to actually wind up taking out Zero as Vox puts himself on the board. But the first kill of the game there for Mongolia, but they're going to be losing their 6th turret. That's the final outer turret going down there for Mongolia. Chinese Taipei just crushing these objectives.
Yeah, I feel like that was the right move to make. We saw Jax in the bot lane slowly trying to rotate up the mid and try to take the tower, so only opening they had was that flank from Gragas. Didn't work out very well. It was very nice for B to move up instantly as he was trying to push that bot lane wave, so that was also a very nice collapse.
And a really low econ support game there for Osco. He's really trying to make things work. He's got the bare minimum items for his support. He's got his gold gen item from the beginning. He's got a Sightstone. He's got boots. So
I mean, to be fair, the only thing he has is that one assist from the one kill that this team got. So
but he's up in CS over Zero. So
oh, that is true. That's true.
That's what matters. But all things equal, you got to consider the just teamwork that's been above and beyond what at least I didn't know what to expect from Chinese Taipei. They're coming into this game after a loss. Not sure exactly the situations behind that game, but shaking it off, walking into this game, dominant early game, and just continuing. There's a blasting wand on the beat, Justin. You know what that means.
And they're trying to go for it.
Yeah, Gwinsu's Rage Blade will be coming in there, and here comes the Rift Herald, and there goes the Rift Herald. Taken out for the 2nd time this game. 2 Rift Heralds taken early. Oftentimes I see that guy kind of a little bit lonely. This team is not really prioritizing, really knowing how to use the buff most effectively, but oh man, Ward there right on the red buff, and that is going to be one dead Gragas. Shock Blast, dying the 2nd time this game in his own jungle.
The vision of his topside red jungle has been dominated by Chinese Taipei for this entire game ever since they've been snowballing that lead. So it was very dangerous to solo that by Gragas, but what can you do at this point? Trying to make moves.
Yeah, when your own jungle is not safe, really where else do you turn? Push up the mid lane. You're going to be stalled a little bit as that minion wave does get cleared out effectively there by Vox, but I mean, Chinese Taipei have another minion wave coming right in here. Zero should walk forward and look to zone this out there, and he is going to go ahead. Combo, you can't cleanse the knockup, Fox. He is going to be able to flash away from there, stay alive for just barely long enough. Is it going to be enough? No! Oh my god, Shock Blast actually just killed him by knocking him right into him. So now, Beat continuing to walk forward there. I'm not sure if he's got too much more left to contribute there, but he's still going to go in, get one kill. He gets another leap strike. He can go for more. Might be looking to turn this one around there, but he's definitely got some support there from Zero. Looking to turn this one around. Gets the leap strike, immediate buster shot. Beautifully played there by Tristana. Jumping in, does get the reset. Might be looking for more there. Tristana jumping back away, does get another kill. Jumps back away again. The resets are real there as Tristana coming up big and grabbing a couple more kills there from Mongolia.
Next level baits.
I mean, sometimes you just get a little bit too greedy. Jax is like, all right, I'm going for this no matter what. And to be fair, Tristana just knew exactly what to do at exactly the right time. Really, really well played there. So nice to see maybe a little bit of a comeback. Although, to be fair, overstaying their welcome there, Chinese Taipei. Now they're out of the base. We'll see what they come back with.
Yeah, Dragon's coming up in minute 13. Baron is live, so there's a lot of objectives that Chinese Taipei can take at this moment.
Trying to steal that blue buff away. Wuji unable to grab that one back. Actually, I think that went over to Vox, so pretty well positioned there. Mongolia able to secure that, but jungle is continuing to get cleared out. Rabbi's going to take that down, and like you said, 1 minute until Dragon. Probably something Chinese Taipei is going to want to group up.
So, like I have mentioned coming into this game, even though they have all their turrets down other than the inhibitor turrets, this team has a really great lane clear just with Victor and Tristana and Gragas for the disengage, so they can't really dive them as well as they can usually, as we've seen in the previous team fight around the mid lane turret. So I think what they're trying to do is take as slow as possible, keep split pushing, keep putting on the pressure, and then when the timer's right, take that Baron and win the game.
Oh, but now, right, jumping in on the beat. Gonna get those blade surges. Beautiful Aurelia play being used there. Just go in, go back out, avoid that stun, and now Beat is gonna get beaten. But all while in the meantime, while Mongolia is ganking the bottom lane, there's a lot going on in the Baron pit. Very, very low there. Wuji is gonna be able to help his team secure that Baron. Rad is gonna take it out, but looks like Mongolia going in might find some damage here as Vox walking forward, has to avoid this crowd control, walks backwards, but looking to go back in, just stop some of these recalls. Doesn't want to run into the culling though, so I think Rabbi has probably secured this recall for his team.
Yeah, but they took 2 kills off of that, so and they could probably push this mid lane turret right away too, so they gave up Baron, but they're kind of finding their little bit of openings as the game goes on, so.
Yeah, little by little, and maybe a Dragon. Okay, yeah, wisely going to avoid that. You're seeing a lot of players now utilize these pretty free ward drops from upgrading their scrying or trinkets. So a little bit of a change there to the item of the preseason patch, but actually really interesting to see it so heavily prioritized by most teams as ways of just dropping remote wards. Sure, they're easy to clear out, but sometimes you just need that vision in a place that it's dangerous to put it.
Yes, it became a lot easier to vision control without having to always trying to move up with their jungler, their support with your jungler. So it gives a lot of vision in terms of, you know, how it's placed, just because we just need to know if they went over it or not, so.
Yeah, you just need that momentary information. Yep. That's what you get. And now, speaking of information, I think everybody's kind of on the same page here. For Chinese Taipei, they're pushing up mid lane, and I'm not sure Mongolia can defend this. It's going to be difficult. Putting a lot of damage down there on the beat, but those Alistar heals can be extremely effective. He looks to keep his team healthy, continuing that push up mid lane, but some great wave clearing there from Vox to keep his turret alive. Still has to find a way to deal with this top lane Jack split push beat. Already starting to damage that upper base turret. Gonna have to deal with that. Right, though, without the combat stats, and Zero just walking forward to take that turret up. That's going to be the first base turret of the game going down in the mid lane as Chinese Taipei pushes in.
Yeah, no, they're gonna take that in it right now, and you see the top lane wave building up really fast too, but they can probably be cleared and then pushed up again. So one at a time, slowly winning this game, slowly trying to snowball this game into a win. Great movements from Team Chinese Taipei. So.
And now they're going to take the entire jungle. Rabbi getting that red buff, beat completely okay on his own. Forced to be buster shotted away there. by Tristana. I don't know. The defense here from Mongolia, it's been good up until now, but they're just losing little by little. First they lose their base turret, then they lose their inhibitor, then their entire jungle gets taken. It's just going from one thing into another, and not looking good there. They've managed to defend their base, at least for now, but they're going to have to worry about super minions pushing in, and now it's just going to be a supercharged Chinese Taipei coming their way.
In games such as this, where you lose hard in the early game, what the team that's losing might try to do is try to make picks in the jungle, try to get kills one by one, not to increase the goal deficit, and just keep it at where it is until they go to the late game where they have similar items. But since they have no vision in their jungle, they have no vision anywhere, all they can do is wait for the other team to engage, because they have no other choice but that. So
Tristana has been doing a decent job this game. He's kept up in CS relatively, and it does have a ton of wave clears, so might be able to just sit there in the mid lane, clear out that wave, and use the Victor to just wave clear the other lane to prevent these from pushing in too heavily. However, you walk up and get chunked like that, Vox not going to be there for the wave clear. A teleport used to make that minion vulnerable. The dive super effective. Tristana lucky to be alive there. Osco able to get out there as well. Shock Blast still barely alive, but Fry not quite so lucky. He's going to go down there as the only casualty of that fight for Mongolia. The inhibitor, another casualty, and possibly even pushing in for what could be a win here is the Chinese Taipei taking down their second inhibitor. They're backing out for now, but I think that's just so that they can push down bottom.
Yeah, Victor got chunked hard. That was their primary lane clear, so if that's gone, it's easy to take that first turret. And then we saw how much damage that this Elise can do onto this Tristana right away, so
man, actually pretty ridiculous to watch. A lot of these games start out very even, and then one team just makes that one big play, whether it's like chunking out victors or the wave clear is not there, just able to come out of lane overall stronger. Now trying to take down Beat again, but then his realization of when he needs to piece the scene is actually pretty ridiculous. Able to avoid being stunned and then drop another stun. He wants to jump over that wall. He does get the ward jump over it. Beat is out of there.
He brings down 4 players and a TP, but he still managed to get out of there. That's best a top laner can do in this situation. The split pushing Jax, this is the ideal moment where you can go to your team and hey, yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing.
Like, how many players does it take down a split pushing Jax? And the answer is, well, more than that. So it's going to be very, very difficult to deal with that split push. They do push him back for now. But, I mean, he's just going to recall back to base, buy some more items, and then come back even stronger. You can see he's already got that Gwinsu's Trinity Force combo completed, which is just so difficult to deal with.
And I think we're going to see the same thing happening here that we've been seeing for the past couple of minutes. They're going to try to chunk out this third. That's the only inhibitor they have left in this game. So what can Mongolia do to turn this?
Well, they got to get their wave clear going on. They've been pretty decent at that. Oh, there comes Gragas, not actually knocking anyone in. It's Beat and Zero going in. It's the exact champions you don't want on your backline. But now diving forward, right, trying to get in there. He's actually going to go down there. It's the first member of his team to fall. Mongolia trying to escape. Look at that brand damage bouncing around there. He's going to be able to pick up the second kill, the third kill. It's a double coming in there from Huchi. He's not stopping yet. An inhibitor left to follow, and now with all 3 inhibitors down, this could signal the end of the game as Chinese Taipei pushing in for an incredibly dominant win. Their Beat's up in the front line. Zero's there to join him, and these Nexus turrets are not going to stand for long. The Nexus taking all of that damage, and Chinese Taipei will be able to come in and take a win over Team Mongolia here in the 3rd preliminary match of the day. Very, very well played. Congratulations to well, both teams really, but incredibly strong performance there. Chinese Taipei able to come off of a loss, pick up a win. It's going to be exciting to watch those as over the course of this tournament as it continues. We're going to head out to a quick break, so thanks for watching. This is the 7th IESF World Championship. We'll be right back.